Imagine discovering your entire life was built on a lie. Not the lie someone told you, but the lie you told yourself. For 28 years, Amara Johnson believed she was nobody. No name, no family, no roots. She built an empire to prove the world wrong, to show that orphans could become extraordinary. She armored herself with success because love had always felt too dangerous, too risky, too likely to end in abandonment. And then she fell in love with a prince. And then that prince lied about who he was. And then, just when she thought the story couldn't get more complicated, she discovered something that rewrote her entire identity. She wasn't nobody. She never had been. She had a name. She had family. She had heritage. Everything she'd spent her life believing about herself? Wrong. This is part 4, the finale. This is where every secret comes out. Where Amara meets the grandmother who's been searching for her for 8 years. Where she learns what revelations beyond her parentage really means. Where she has to decide, is she Amara Johnson, the self-made CEO who needs no one? Or is she Park Amara, the granddaughter of a distinguished family who finally has a place to belong? Can she be both? And most importantly, can love survive when everything you thought you knew turns out to be wrong? If you've been with us since part 1, if you've felt every heartbreak and every moment of hope, this is the ending you've been waiting for. Subscribe right now because what happens in the next hour will either heal you or wreck you, and you need to see it through to the end. Drop a comment. Team happy ending or team bittersweet? Let's finish this story. The morning sun filtered through Amara's bedroom curtains, casting golden light across the documents still spread on her nightstand. Birth certificates, DNA tests, photographs of parents she'd never known, a family tree going back centuries. She'd barely slept. How could she? Her entire identity had been rewritten. In a single afternoon, Park Amara, daughter of Park Seo-yeon and Dr. James Williams, granddaughter of Park Hae-won, member of one of Korea's distinguished families, but also Amara Johnson, the orphan who'd built Phoenix Motors from nothing, the woman who'd survived on the streets of Chicago at 14, the CEO who'd stood up to the Lee family and refused to back down. Which one was real? Could both be true? Her phone buzzed. Min. Good morning. How are you feeling? How was she feeling? Confused, overwhelmed, terrified, hopeful. All of it at once. She typed back. I don't know. Everything feels different, but also the same. Want me to come over? We can talk about it. No. I need to process this alone first. But thank you. Okay. Just remember, whatever you discover today, whatever your grandmother tells you, it doesn't change who you are. You've always been extraordinary. Now you just have proof. She stared at that message. He always knew exactly what to say, even when she didn't know what she needed to hear. A knock on her door. She threw on a robe, padded to the entrance. Mr. Han stood there with coffee and pastries. You look like you didn't sleep, he said, walking past her into the apartment. I didn't. I figured. He set the coffee on her counter. That's why I brought breakfast. And moral support. She sat down heavily. Mr. Han, why didn't you tell me sooner? 8 years. You knew for 8 years. He sighed, sitting across from her. Because I thought I was protecting you. You were building a life, building a business. You'd finally stopped having nightmares about the orphanage. I thought knowing about parents who couldn't keep you would hurt more than help. But they didn't abandon me. They loved me. My mother died for me. My father died because of losing her. Tears filled her eyes. I spent my whole life thinking I was unwanted, and I wasn't. I was loved. I know. And I'm sorry I kept that from you. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was wrong. She wiped her eyes. The meeting's at 2, with both families. Matriarch Lee and my grandmother. The word felt strange on her tongue. Foreign. What if she doesn't like me? What if she's disappointed? Impossible. You're her granddaughter. She's been searching for you for 8 years, Amara. Trust me. Whatever happens today, disappointment isn't on the table. But what if I don't live up to whatever she's imagined? What if I'm not Korean enough? What if... Stop. Mr. Han took her hands. You are enough. Exactly as you are. Whether you're Amara Johnson or Park Amara or some combination of both, you're enough. There is an old saying, a tree with strong roots can weather any storm. Amara had spent 28 years thinking she had no roots. Now she was about to discover she'd had them all along. She just hadn't known where to look. After Mr. Han left, Amara stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes, trying to decide what to wear. To meet a grandmother she'd never known existed. Professional? Too cold? Casual? Too disrespectful? Traditional Korean? She'd never worn hanbok in her life. She settled on a simple navy dress. Elegant. Respectful. Still herself. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Ms. Park? An elderly woman's voice. Warm. Trembling slightly. This is Park Hae-won, your grandmother. Amara's breath caught. Hello. I know we're meeting in a few hours, but I couldn't wait. I've been staring at your photo all morning. You look just like your mother. Same eyes, same smile. I wish she could see you now. Tears streamed down Amara's face. I wish I'd known her. She was remarkable, stubborn, brilliant. She fell in love with your father against our wishes. We were wrong to fight it. I've lived with that regret for 30 years. A pause. I'm so sorry, child. Sorry we didn't find you sooner. Sorry you grew up alone. Sorry you had to build yourself from nothing when you should have had family supporting you. It's not your fault. You didn't know I existed. But I should have looked harder for her. After she left, I was too proud. Too angry that she'd chosen a foreigner over her family. And by the time I softened, by the time I tried to find her, she was already gone. Both of them were. And I thought I'd lost my chance at forgiveness. But then I discovered you. And it felt like the universe giving me one more opportunity to do right by my daughter's child. Amara couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. This woman, this grandmother she'd never met, was saying everything she'd needed to hear her entire life. I'll see you at 2, her grandmother said softly. And Amara, thank you for giving an old woman a second chance at family. The line went dead. Amara stood there, phone in hand, crying in her empty apartment. Not sad tears, healing tears. The kind that wash away old wounds and make room for new growth. She'd spent her whole life thinking she was alone. Turned out someone had been searching for her all along. If you've ever wondered where you came from, if you've ever felt like you didn't belong anywhere, what's about to happen in the next 5 minutes will hit you right in the heart. Stay with me. The Shilla Hotel conference room looked different than it had 2 weeks ago. Less like a battlefield, more like a family reunion. Amara walked in with Min by her side, Mr. Han a step behind. The room was already full. On one side, the Lee family. Matriarch Lee Hae-jin, sitting with perfect posture. Min's parents. His sister Ji-woo, who gave Amara an encouraging smile. On the other side, an elderly woman in traditional hanbok, standing the moment Amara entered. Park Hae-won, her grandmother. They looked at each other across the room, 2 people connected by blood but strangers by circumstance. Amara's grandmother took a tentative step forward, then another. And then she was moving. Quickly, arms outstretched, and Amara found herself being pulled into a hug by a woman who smelled like jasmine and felt like home. My girl, Her grandmother whispered in Korean, "My beautiful girl, you're here, you're real, you're alive." Amara hugged her back, this stranger who somehow felt familiar. "I'm here." They broke apart. Her grandmother cupped Amara's face with both hands, studying every detail. "You have your mother's eyes, her cheekbones, but your father's smile. I see both of them in you. I don't remember them. I know, but I do. And I'll tell you everything, every story, every memory. You'll know them through me." She turned to the room. "This is my granddaughter, Park Amara, blood of my blood, heir to the Park family name." Matriarch Lee stood, and cousin to the Lee family through old bloodlines, which makes this situation rather interesting. Interesting? Amara's grandmother raised an eyebrow. "Is that what we're calling it?" "Complicated, then. My grandson, and your granddaughter, both from distinguished families, both with duties and obligations, both in love despite every logical reason why they shouldn't be." "Perhaps," Amara's grandmother said quietly, "love is the most logical reason of all." The two matriarchs looked at each other, some silent communication passing between them. Finally, Matriarch Lee nodded toward the conference table. "Sit. All of you. We have much to discuss." They sat, Amara between Min and her grandmother, Mr. Han beside her, the two families on opposite sides of the table, literally and figuratively. Matriarch Lee spoke first. "When I hired investigators to look into Ms. Johnson's background, I expected to find problems, skeletons in closets, reasons to justify my opposition to this relationship. Instead, I found a story that changed everything I thought I knew." She slid a folder across the table to Amara. "Your mother, Park Seo-yeon, was extraordinary, valedictorian, concert pianist, fluent in 4 languages. She could have married anyone, but she fell in love with an African-American doctor. A good man, by all accounts. Your father performed free surgeries for underserved communities. They were happy. Until my mother died," Amara said quietly. "Until your mother died. And your father couldn't cope. The grief destroyed him." Matriarch Lee's expression softened, something Amara had never seen before. "I understand that kind of grief. I lost my husband 40 years ago. Some loves are so deep that losing them breaks something that can't be fixed." Amara's grandmother reached over, squeezed her hand. "What I'm trying to say," Matriarch Lee continued, "is that I was wrong about you. You're not a gold digger or a social climber. You're the daughter of two people who loved each other desperately. You're the granddaughter of one of Korea's most respected families. You have lineage, heritage, accomplishment. Everything I said, you lacked. So now I'm acceptable?" Bitterness crept into Amara's voice. "Because I have the right bloodline? No." Matriarch Lee met her eyes. "You're acceptable because you have strength. Because you stood up to me when most people would have crumbled. Because you love my grandson enough to rip up a $5 million check. Because you built an empire from nothing and refused to let anyone, including me, make you feel small. The bloodline is just a bonus." Min's hand found Amara's under the table. "However," Matriarch Lee continued, "there's more you need to know. Things that complicate this situation further." Amara's stomach dropped. "What things?" "Your grandmother and I have been in communication since I discovered your identity. We've been discussing arrangements." "Arrangements?" Amara looked at her grandmother. "What is she talking about?" Her grandmother took a breath. "The Park family has holdings, properties, investments. Your grandfather was a shrewd businessman. When he and your parents died, everything went into a trust. A trust that can only be accessed by Park family heirs. I don't want money. It's not about money, child. It's about responsibility. You're the last Park, the only heir. which means everything. The family estate in Bukchon, the investment portfolio, the cultural foundation your grandfather established. All of it falls to you. The room spun. I don't know how to manage all that. I have Phoenix Motors. I can't. Which is why, Matriarch Lee interrupted. Your grandmother and I have proposed a solution. A merger of sorts. A merger? The Park family's cultural foundation needs new leadership. The Lee family's business empire needs partners we can trust. If you and Minjai were to... She trailed off meaningfully. To marry. Min finished, his voice tight. You're saying if we marry, it solves both families' problems. I'm saying, Matriarch Lee corrected, that your marriage would unite two families with aligned interests. But more importantly, and this is what changed my mind, I'm saying that love between two people from distinguished families is traditional, approved, something we can present to society as a strength, not a scandal. If you're angry right now, if you're thinking, this isn't about love anymore, it's about business, you're feeling exactly what Amara's feeling. And what she does next? It's why you subscribed. Keep watching. Amara stood abruptly. No. Everyone looked at her. No? Matriarch Lee repeated. I'm not marrying Min because it's convenient for our families. I'm not becoming acceptable because suddenly I have the right bloodline and the right assets to make me useful. She looked at Min. I love you. But I won't be a business arrangement. I won't be the solution to family problems. I won't let them turn what we have into a transaction. She turned to her grandmother. I just met you. And I'm grateful, so grateful, to know where I came from, to know I was loved. But I built my life as Amara Johnson. I survived as Amara Johnson. I succeeded as Amara Johnson. And I won't erase her just because Park Amara comes with a trust fund and a family estate. Her grandmother smiled. Good. Good? She said, surprised by the response. You have your mother's fire. She would have said the same thing. Her grandmother stood, walked to her. I'm not asking you to erase anything, child. I'm asking you to add, to be both. To take the strength you built as Amara Johnson and combine it with the heritage you inherited as Park Amara. You don't have to choose. You can be both. But the trust, the foundation, the responsibilities can be managed together, with help. You don't have to do this alone. Her grandmother looked at Matriarch Lee. Which is why we old women have been scheming. Not to force anything, but to offer support. To make your path easier if you choose to take it. Matriarch Lee nodded. My grandson loves you. My opposition was wrong, but more than that, I respect you. And I'd be honored to call you family. Not because of your bloodline, because of who you are, what you've built, the strength you've shown. She pulled out another document. This is a contract, nullifying everything I threatened. Guaranteeing that Phoenix Luxury Motors will face no interference from Lee family influence. In fact, we'd like to invest. As silent partners. No control. Just capital and connections, if you want them. Amara stared at the document. Why? Because I was wrong. And because powerful women should support each other, not tear each other down. Your business is good. You're good. And I'd rather have you as an ally than an enemy. Stop for a second. Have you ever had someone who opposed you completely change their mind? Not because you changed, but because they finally saw you clearly? That's what's happening here. And what comes next will test whether Amara can accept help without seeing it as weakness. Drop a comment. Would you take this deal? Min spoke for the first time in 10 minutes. This is all very touching, but can we address the actual issue? I want to marry Amma, not because of family businesses or trusts or convenient alliances, because I love her, because she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because I can't imagine my life without her. He turned to Amara. I know this is overwhelming. I know you need time to process everything. But I need you to know, I'm not going anywhere, whether you take the trust money or refuse it. Whether you use the Park name or stick with Johnson. Whether our families approve or not. I'm choosing you. Every day. For the rest of my life. If you'll have me. Amara looked at him. This man who'd lied to her. Who'd broken her heart. Who'd fought for her anyway. Who'd walked away from his family's approval for her. Who'd waited in the rain and sent her poetry and made her believe in love despite every wall she'd built. I need time, she said quietly, to process all of this. The grandmother, the trust, the heritage. Your proposal. That wasn't a proposal, Min interrupted. When I propose, it'll be better than this, with a ring, and probably terrible poetry, and definitely not in a conference room with both our families watching. Despite everything, she smiled. Good. Because I deserve better than a business meeting proposal. You deserve the world, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to give it to you. Her grandmother clapped her hands once. Enough of this. Amara, come. You and I are having lunch, just us. No business, no pressure, just a grandmother getting to know her granddaughter. The rest of you, give us space. She took Amara's arm, started leading her toward the door. Grandmother, Amara said, testing the word. Yes, child? Thank you for finding me, for not giving up. Thank you for surviving, for becoming extraordinary despite having no one, for being exactly who your mother hoped you'd be. They left together, leaving the two families to work out details neither woman cared about anymore. They went to a traditional Korean restaurant in Bukchon, the neighborhood where Amara's grandmother lived. Private room, low table. The kind of place where old families went to discuss important things over good food. Her grandmother ordered for both of them. Dishes Amara's mother had loved. Seo-yeon always ordered the same thing, bibimbap with extra gochujang, kimchi jjigae, japchae. She had very specific tastes. Tell me about her, Amara said. Everything. I want to know everything. And her grandmother did. For 2 hours, over multiple courses, she painted a picture of Park Seo-yeon. Brilliant, stubborn, passionate. A concert pianist who played Chopin like she was having a conversation with him. A woman who spoke 4 languages and dreamed of using them to connect different cultures. She met your father at a medical conference. He was presenting research on reconstructive surgery for burn victims. She was there translating. They argued about methodology. He thought she was the most infuriating woman he'd ever met. She thought he was arrogant. They were engaged 3 months later. What did you think of him? Her grandmother paused. Honestly, I hated him at first. Not because of who he was, because of what he represented. My daughter leaving Korea, leaving me, choosing a life I couldn't be part of. I said terrible things. Things I regret every single day. Like what? I told her she was betraying her family, that she'd be nothing without the Park name, that her children would be confused, belonging to neither culture fully. Her grandmother's eyes filled with tears. I was wrong about all of it. She wasn't betraying anything. She was choosing love. And you're not confused. You're complete. Both cultures, both identities, all of it makes you who you are. Amara reached across the table, took her grandmother's hand. She forgave you. I know she did. How do you know? Because I found out she named me Amara, Grace. She wanted me to have grace in my life. I think she was hoping I'd extend that grace to others, including family she'd fought with. Her grandmother squeezed her hand. You're wise beyond your years, child. I had to be. Life didn't give me much choice. They ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Then her grandmother said, "The trust, the estate, the foundation. I know it's overwhelming, but I want you to understand. It's yours, not as an obligation, as a gift. From grandparents you never met who would have loved you fiercely. I don't know anything about running a cultural foundation. You'll learn, with help. I'll teach you. And there are people, good people, who've been managing it. You won't be alone in this. But what if I'm not good at it? What if I fail? Then you'll fail, and you'll learn, and you'll try again." That's what your mother did. She failed at her first solo piano recital, completely froze on stage, walked off crying. Everyone thought she'd quit. Instead, she practiced for 6 months and came back stronger. That's who you come from, Amara. People who fall and get back up. There's an old Korean proverb: even if you fall 7 times, stand up 8. Amara was about to learn that having roots didn't mean she couldn't still rise. After lunch, her grandmother took her to the Park family estate, a traditional hanok in Bukchon, preserved for generations. Gardens with stone paths, rooms with paper doors, history in every corner. "This is yours now," her grandmother said, "if you want it, if it feels right." Amara walked through rooms her mother had grown up in, saw photos of grandparents she'd never met, found a room that had been her mother's, piano in the corner, sheet music still on the stand. She sat at the piano, pressed a key, out of tune but still beautiful. She played every day, her grandmother said from the doorway. Even when she was angry with me, especially then. Music was how she processed everything. "I don't play. Maybe you'll learn. Or maybe you'll find your own way to process. Your cars, perhaps." She built music from notes. You build success from nothing. Different mediums. Same drive. Amara stood, walked to the window, looked out at gardens that had been tended for centuries. "This doesn't feel real. Yesterday I was an orphan. Today I'm the heir to all this? Yesterday you were exactly who you are today. The only thing that changed is what you know about yourself, not who you are. But what if knowing changes me? What if I lose the part of me that fought and scraped and refused to give up?" Her grandmother came to stand beside her. "You won't. That's not something you lose. That's who you are at your core. Adding roots doesn't make you weaker. It makes you stronger. A tree with strong roots can grow taller because it's not afraid of falling." Amara turned to look at her. This woman who'd searched for 8 years, who'd never given up hope, who'd welcomed her without judgment or conditions. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything, child." "Do you really think I'm Korean enough? I don't speak the language well. I don't know the customs. I grew up in America eating hamburgers and watching baseball. I don't fit the way I should." Her grandmother took her face in both hands. "Let me tell you a secret. Your mother felt the same way when she fell in love with your father. She worried she was betraying her culture, that she'd lose herself in trying to be American enough for him. But you know what she learned? You don't have to be enough of anything. You just have to be yourself. Fully. Completely. All your contradictions and complications. That's what makes you whole. So I can be both? Amara Johnson and Park Amara? You can be whoever you choose to be. The beauty of having multiple identities is that you get to choose which parts of each to embrace. If you've ever felt caught between two worlds, if you've ever wondered if you belong anywhere, what Amara learns next might just give you the answer you've been searching for. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Because we're heading into the final act, and you won't believe how this story ends. Amara spent the next week in a strange limbo, working at Phoenix Motors during the day, having dinner with her grandmother in the evenings, learning about the Park family's cultural foundation, which supported Korean artists and scholars. processing everything with Mr. Han, avoiding Min's calls more than she answered them. Not because she didn't love him, because she did. Because she was terrified of losing herself in all of these new identities and expectations. Friday evening, 1 week after the revelation, she sat in her apartment surrounded by documents, the trust paperwork, the foundation bylaws, the Lee family's investment proposal for Phoenix Motors, Min's 17 unanswered text messages. Her phone rang. Ji-woo. "If you don't talk to my brother soon, he's going to do something stupid," Ji-woo said without preamble. "What kind of stupid?" "Like show up at your office with a mariachi band or something equally mortifying. He's not handling your silence well." "I'm not giving him silence. I'm giving him space while I figure things out." "Unnie, can I be honest with you? Have you ever been anything else?" "Fair point." "Okay, here's the truth. You're scared. Not of him. Not of us. You're scared that if you say yes, to him, to the family, to all of it, you'll lose the part of yourself that you built. The part that doesn't need anyone." Amara was quiet. Because Jiwoo was right. "But here's what you're missing," Jiwoo continued. "Needing people doesn't make you weak. Accepting help doesn't erase what you accomplished alone. You can be self-made and have a family. You can be strong and let people support you. Those things aren't opposites." "When did you get so wise?" "I've been watching you and my idiot brother dance around each other for months. I've learned some things about what love looks like." A pause. "He's not trying to save you, Unnie. He's trying to love you. There's a difference." After Jiwoo hung up, Amara sat with those words. He's not trying to save you. He's trying to love you. She'd spent so long protecting herself from being saved, from being the damsel, the victim, the helpless one, that she'd forgotten love wasn't about being saved. It was about being seen, being chosen, being valued exactly as you are. And Min had done all of that. From the very beginning. Before he knew about her family. Before she had the Park name. When she was just Amara Johnson, orphan CEO with trust issues, and a chip on her shoulder. She looked at her phone, at his unanswered messages. At the most recent one, sent 20 minutes ago. "I'm not giving up. But I'll wait as long as you need. Take your time figuring out who you want to be. Just know that whoever you decide you are, I'll love that version. Of you too." "All my love, Min," she typed back. "Can you come over? I'm ready to talk." His response was immediate. "I'm already in your parking garage. I've been sitting here for an hour hoping you'd change your mind." "Coming up now?" She laughed despite everything. Of course he was already here. Persistent, stubborn, ridiculous man. When she opened the door, he looked nervous, holding flowers. African violets, of course. "Hi." "Hi. Can I come in?" She stepped aside. He walked in, set the flowers on her counter, turned to face her. "I'm sorry," they both said at the same time. "You have nothing to apologize for," Min said. "I'm the one who lied. And I forgave you for that. But then I shut you out this week when you were just trying to be supportive. That wasn't fair. You needed space to process. That's not shutting me out. That's taking care of yourself." She walked to her couch, sat down. He followed, sitting close but not touching. Waiting. "I've been thinking," she said, "about everything, the trust, the foundation, your family's investment offer. Us. All of it. And? And I'm terrified. I'm terrified that if I say yes to all of it, I'll lose myself. I'll become someone I don't recognize. I'll be Park Amara, granddaughter and heiress, instead of Amara Johnson, the woman who built something from nothing. So don't lose yourself. Be both. Be all of it. Is that possible? I don't know. But I know you. And if anyone can figure out how to be multiple things at once, it's you. You've been doing it your whole life. American and Korean, orphan and CEO, guarded and loving. You've never been just one thing, Amma. Why start now? She looked at him. What if I make different choices than your family expects? What if I take the foundation in a direction they don't like? What if I'm not the perfect heiress? Then you'll be the imperfect one, and you'll do it better than anyone else could. He finally reached for her hand. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be mine, however that looks, whatever that means. Even if it means I keep the Johnson name, especially then, though Park Amara Johnson has a nice ring to it. Literally. Which brings me to something I've been planning. He stood, pulled a small box from his pocket, got down on one knee. Amara's breath caught. Wait. Let me do this properly. I've been practicing. He opened the box. Inside, a ring. Simple. Elegant. A diamond surrounded by small purple stones. African violets, she realized. He'd had a ring custom made with stones the color of the flowers he'd sent her. Amara Park Johnson. I know your full name now. All of it, and I love every part. I know you built yourself from nothing and you don't need me to complete you. I know you're scared of losing yourself in us. I know you have trust issues and walls and a very good reason for all of it. And I also know that I love you. Not because of your family name or your business or your strength, though I love all those things. I love you because you make me want to be better. Because you see me when everyone else sees the crown. Because you ripped up a $5 million check rather than compromise yourself. Because you stood up to my grandmother when most people would have run. Because you're brave and stubborn and absolutely infuriating in the best possible way. She was crying now. Couldn't help it. I'm not asking you to change, he continued. I'm asking you to add me to your life. However that works. Whatever that looks like. I'll take any version of you that you're willing to give me. So Amara Park Johnson, will you marry me? Stop. Breathe. If you're crying right now, if your heart is racing, if you need to know what she says, you're exactly where you should be. Keep watching. This is the moment everything has been building to. She looked at him. This man who'd lied and fought and waited and loved her despite everything. This man who was offering her forever without asking her to change a single thing about who she was. Yes, she said. Yes? Yes, but I have conditions. He laughed, tears in his eyes. Of course you do. Tell me. I'm keeping Johnson as part of my name, Park Amara Johnson. All of it. Done. I'm staying CEO of Phoenix Motors, no matter what happens with the foundation or the trust or any of it. Absolutely. I want to help with the foundation, but I'm doing it my way. Supporting artists who don't fit traditional molds, bringing Korean and American culture together. Making it about the future, not just preserving the past. That sounds perfect. And I want a partnership. Not you taking care of me. Not me being the rescued orphan. Equal partners. In everything. That's all I've ever wanted. She pulled him up, kissed him hard. Then yes, I'll marry you. I'll be your wife. I'll be impossible and stubborn and probably drive you crazy. I'm counting on it. He slipped the ring on her finger. Perfect fit. I love you. I love you, too. Even though you wrote terrible poetry and stalked me at my coffee shop and bought $45 million in cars just to get my attention. Best $45 million I ever spent. They kissed again. Longer. Deeper. The kind of kiss that promises forever. The wedding was everything and nothing like anyone expected. Traditional Korean ceremony with payback. But also elements Amara chose. Readings from her favorite poets. Jazz music Min loved. Colors that represented both cultures blending together. Her grandmother cried through the entire ceremony. Happy tears. Healing tears. Your mother would be so proud, she whispered during the reception. Matriarch Lee gave a speech that surprised everyone. I was wrong about many things, but I was right about one. My grandson needed someone extraordinary, and Amara, Park Amara Johnson, is exactly that. Not because of her family name, though we're honored to welcome her, but because of who she is, what she's built, the strength she carries. Welcome to the family, granddaughter. We're better because you're in it. Mr. Han walked her down the aisle, tears streaming down his face. Your parents would be so happy. You got your fairy tale, sweetheart. You got everything you deserved. Jiwoo was maid of honor, giving a speech that made everyone laugh and cry. When my brother told me he'd met the woman he'd marry, I thought he was delusional. When he spent $45 million to get her attention, I was sure he'd lost his mind. But watching them together, I get it now. Love makes you do crazy things, and sometimes crazy things are exactly right. Phoenix Luxury Motors was thriving. The Lee family's investment had helped her expand to Tokyo and Shanghai. But more importantly, she'd done it her way, on her terms, proving that accepting help didn't mean losing control. The Park family's cultural foundation was transforming under Amara's leadership. She'd created programs for orphaned artists, scholarships for kids from underserved communities, partnerships between Korean and American cultural institutions. Her grandmother worked beside her, teaching her, supporting her, proud of every choice she made. And Min? Min was building his own thing, separate from his family's empire. A tech investment firm that supported startups led by people from non-traditional backgrounds. If an orphan can build a luxury car empire, he told investors, imagine what others can do with the right support. They were partners. In business, in life, in everything. 1 year after the wedding, Amara stood in front of a group of teenage girls at Mercy House Orphanage in Chicago. She'd flown back to speak to them, to tell them her story. My name is Amara Park Johnson, she said. When I was your age, I lived here, in this building, in those rooms. I was angry and scared and convinced I'd never be anything. The other kids called me No-Name Amma because I didn't know my birth name. I thought I was nobody. I thought I was nobody. Had no future. She paused. Looked at these girls who reminded her of herself. I was wrong. I've always been somebody. I just didn't know it yet. And so are you. Every single one of you. You're not defined by what you don't have. You're defined by what you do with what you're given. By how you rise. By how you refuse to let circumstances determine your destiny. She told them about building Phoenix Motors, about meeting Min, about discovering her family, about learning that you can be multiple things at once, orphan and heiress, self-made and supported, strong and vulnerable. I started a foundation, she said, the Park Seo-yeon Foundation, named after my mother who I never got to meet. It provides scholarships, mentorship, business support for kids aging out of foster care. Because you deserve more than just survival. You deserve success, happiness, love, everything. A girl in the back raised her hand. But what if we fail? What if we're not as strong as you? Amara smiled. I've failed more times than I've succeeded. I've made terrible decisions. I've trusted the wrong people. I've let fear control me. The difference isn't that I'm stronger. It's that I kept trying anyway. That's all strength is. Falling down 7 times and standing up 8. After the speech, girls surrounded her with questions. She answered every one, gave out her contact information, promised to stay in touch, saw herself in each of their faces. Min waited by the door, watching her with pride and love. Ready? He asked when she finally finished. Yeah, let's go home. Seoul or Chicago? Or the Bukchon estate? Or the Tokyo office? You have a lot of homes now. She took his hand. Home is wherever we are. Together. Everything else is just geography. They walked out of Mercy House together, past the spot where she used to sit on the steps, convinced she'd never leave. Past the window where the Nigerian nurse had kept African violets that gave her hope. She looked back one more time, at the building that had held so much pain and so much strength, at the place where Amara Johnson was born from necessity. "Thank you," she whispered to the girl she used to be, "for surviving, for fighting, for refusing to give up. I got us here. We made it." And then she walked forward into a future she'd built herself, supported by family she'd found, loved by a man who saw her, connected to roots she'd discovered, but still fundamentally herself. Still Amara, still extraordinary, still enough. If you've been on this journey from part 1, if you felt every moment of Amara's transformation, if this story gave you hope or courage, or made you believe in second chances, thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing, for commenting, for being part of this community. Drop a comment right now. What was your favorite moment from the entire series? Did this ending satisfy you, or would you change anything? Have you ever discovered something about yourself that changed? Everything? What story should we tell next? Like this video if Amara's journey inspired you. Share it with someone who needs to hear that they're enough, exactly as they are. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're creating more stories like this. Stories about people who refuse to let circumstances define them. This is the end of The Prince and the Orphan. But it's not really an ending. It's a beginning. The beginning of Amara's life, as someone who knows where she came from and where she's going. The beginning of a love story that survived lies and truth, and everything in between. Remember, you are enough, right now, as you are. Not because of where you came from or who your family is or what you've accomplished, but because you exist, because you're here, because you matter. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. And who knows, maybe your fairy tale is waiting right around the corner. Thank you for watching. Until next time.